Poverty Committee. I'm your chair, Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson, joined by the Vice Chair, Councilmember Jose Huizar, and our colleague and member, Councilmember Curran Price. We have 4 items today, and I am looking now to see if we have any multiple comment cards.
Yes, sir, we do. Yes, sir.
These are all multiple? Yes, sir. So I can just give these people 2 minutes? Okay. So.
Those with general public, plus 1 minute.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. So I have the folks who put in to speak on multiple items. We're going to begin the meeting by calling on those people to speak. We have Mr. F. Dan Rivera on item number 2 and general public comment. You'll have a minute for each. Yes, right here at the center table. Pick a chair, any chair. I think all the mics work.
Okay, so in any event, I've been going around. My name is F. Dan Rivera. What it is, I'm a consultant. I deal with businesses, families, and I spent the last 7 years writing a book about why people commit crimes, why they end up homeless, why they do what they do. And so I finally studied and I realized that most people just don't know what they're doing. Most people don't know what they don't know. And I've been going to some of these city council, neighborhood homeless councils. And as I've dialogued, or at least attempted to, I've realized about 99% of the people have no idea why you have the problem that you have right now. I read that comprehensive study, 240 pages, went through it all. Nowhere in any of those pages does it even address the root cause. And it's pretty sad to spend, I don't know how many millions or possibly hundreds of hours writing that, but they have no understanding. And so my question really is, are we here because we want to solve the problem at the root, or are we here because we just want to put Band-Aids and continue what we've been doing over the last few years? If somebody does have an interest and wants to find out, because quite honestly, the answer is a lot easier. I'm sure actually you guys all know, just haven't put it together possibly. But if somebody does want to know, they want to sit down, I can show them how you can easily turn this around and start reducing homelessness and crime, which is on the rise, and homelessness is on the rise. And you could quickly do something, implement something, learn something that might change the way you're seeing life right now and help other people to see exactly what I see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations on your book. Herman, you have 2 minutes. You have items 1, 2, 3, 4, and general public comment. You begin the clock, please. Thank you.
Yeah, start the clock. Isn't it a fucking sham that we have to go through this process, the United States District Courts of Central District of California regarding homelessness? Isn't it a sham when you have people under Krikorian who can't budget the Sherman Way services for homelessness? It's the same, it's what's happening off of Broadway Fiesta. And then in item 2, analysts relative to the city measure HHH, Hitler, Hilda, and Herb, or is it Herman for the perjury record? I'm not sure, but measure H for Herman and a memorandum understanding homelessness. Understanding homelessness. Understanding when Herman became homeless in 2008, you stupid motherfuckers, that there's a situation gone bad caused by the city of Los Angeles of gentrification to cause homelessness. The Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, aka Department of Building Safety in the county, under items of agenda saying we have a lien against your property, let's evict you now and you become homeless? Fuck you. And then going to item number 4, continue from 3/8/17. I'm going to stay on topic because I don't want the rookies over there to say, hey, rookie, stay on topic, rookie. It says Housing and Community Investment Department report the general funds and unspent general fucking funds for prior fucking fiscal years to help the fucking homeless population of people who live in the streets. Put some goddamn fucking restrooms out there for us to use so we can have some decency. Where's the ethics behind all this? Where is the ethics? Because Negro houseboys, you don't got nothing going on. You need to get another monkey suit that says, I don't know what you're talking about, Herman. Other than us dumb houseboys are working for the white man, you, Herman.
Ms. McAllister, Ms. Ramirez, and Mr. Wayne. Since you all have cards on all the items and general public comment.
Okay, I haven't started talking and you took my time. Okay, thank you. Okay, now, here's the deal. I see this money that's left over year after year with all these people on the street. I drive by these new developments and ask questions. They have no subsidized units. Illegal aliens don't have to prove that they're citizens to get into this housing. That's why people are on the street. Anybody can cross the border today and get an affordable housing unit for $100 a month next month. Okay? You've staffed these welfare offices and whatnot and services with illegals, and they give their friends, the Asians too, they give their friends and relatives the affordable housing. See, that's the problem. Until we stop that. Now, I don't like this. I remember in 2015, HUD penalized the city because millions were not spent. You had no excuse. I know why agencies and governments and politicians hold on to money. They sit on it and sit on it and sit on it until it disappears. You are not using this money that you're getting. We need an audit. LAHSA needs to be audited. We should not be in the business of building toilets and shelters. We should be in the business of building housing. And Mr. Price, I was divorced twice, and I'm going to check to make sure mine went through. So you're not the only person who thought you were divorced. Now, I'm going to check mine. I'm serious. That can happen. Now, here's another thing. I just want to digress for a minute, but you got my support.
You're going to want to stay on topic.
You got my support. But anyway, here's the thing. Like I said, we don't have the housing because the illegals are in housing. I'm glad Mr. Trump is in office because we're going to get him out of there. And we need these day laborers. Oh, there's a day laborer right on Wilshire. Illegal aliens. We don't need to be funding these laborers, these daily labor sites, because illegal aliens are there. Put some Americans in there. I see them. I ride by them. Nothing but illegals. They get out there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm against this one, and I'm against all these day laborers that hire illegal aliens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as a homeless female, single female, I went from hell to another hell in South Central Los Angeles, ghetto, black and Latino wetback gangs. I moved into the Samaritan home run by Pastors Chu Wong and Grace Pam, husband and wife from Nigeria, Africa. They run a supposedly Christian homeless ministry out of their church located at 10216 South Danker Avenue, LA, California, 90047. These 5 duplexes are transitional shared room facility in South Central LA. Pastor Chu Wong Pam has a Nigerian lady named Sister Florence Akuchi, who is the assistant to manage the residents and homes, and she does a lousy job. Now, Sister Florence, a black female felon, she puts a black female felon who steals, threatens, and vandalizes into my room. Her name is Queen, or Yolanda Jackson, and she did prison time for stabbing somebody. And that's why she did prison time. She vandalized my duffel bags on 2 separate occasions and threatened me in front of Jessica, Ebony, and Robin Taylor. Yet Jessica, the so-called house manager, never did anything to help or combat the problems of harassment. So you deal with a harassment, theft, and vandalism on the streets as homeless, and you go from one outside to a more isolated indoor, but it's another form of harassment to a homeless person by these individuals. So it never ends if you're homeless. So I called the LAPD Southeast Area Patrol Division, and I've had great officers. The first ones that came out were Cerda and Rydell. The second time was Trimble and Alvarez from the LAPD, and this morning was Officer Lozano and Cabral, who also helped us try to quell the situation. They were very professional. They were very respectful to the black females as well as to myself. And again, what else can I say? And
that's your time. I'm glad we were able to get some housing for you in Council District 8. Mr. Spindler?
Appreciate that. Anyway, first of all, this big farce. We're having a women's donation drive from Councilman Jose Huizar. Shouldn't the city attorney know? That's a very poor choice to have.
You're going to want to stay on issues related to the homeless and poverty
general
committee.
public comment, right?
You have 1 minute to speak on the items and then 1 minute general public comment. You're in the 1 minute to speak on the items.
Oh, okay. So 32 seconds. So we'll go into retard mode.
Motion for the plan. Fuck you. Okay, well, fuck this shit. Number 2, verbal status report. H. Hitler, Herb, and Hilda. Fuck H. Verbal report for the Department of Planning. Fuck that. And number 4, we'll fuck that too.
So now we'll get to the good part. Now, we're going to take a trip through hell. You see that? You guys got to understand something. Okay, this is fucking serious. And you only want to give me you should give me 5 minutes to talk about this, but you're going to give me my lousy fucking minute. So I'm going to try to make this as succinct as I can. 1972, my family lost everything. They stole our company. They stole our house. Everything. So my mother had to take me and move me in a fucking apartment in Azusa, fucking California. 7 people living in a fucking apartment. My father was 62 years old when I was born. And he made it back. So you know what? What you're looking at, I'm a survivor of everything that you people put me through. This motherfucker's going to come back.
All right, that concludes our multiple item speakers. Mr. Clerk, can you read item 1 into the record?
Certainly, sir. Item number 1 is a motion by Council Members Krikorian and Harris Dawson relative to the plan to expand the operations at the Day Laborer Center site at 11843 Sherman Way to include services for the homeless and other underserved populations, including any construction designs necessary to accommodate the additional space required for the expansion.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And if there are no speaker cards and if there's no objection from my colleagues, we'll take that item on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is a verbal status update from the CAO and CLA relative to the city's Measure HHH and the county's Measure H and a memorandum understanding among the City of Los Angeles, the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles, and the County of Los Angeles relative to homeless housing, construction, rental subsidies, and homeless-related services provided to residents.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us for the presentation. There's one public comment card on this item, so I'd ask that person to come just in case they have a question that can be answered by the staff report. Cara Mondino. Yes.
I go now? Okay.
You go now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cara Mondino, and I'm representing the UCLA Mobile Eye Clinic. I'm speaking about item number 2 in regards to the homeless-related services provided to residents. Basically, I wanted to just make a pitch for how important vision care services are for people experiencing homelessness. Our mission is to provide free eye care services and glasses to people experiencing homelessness, and it's just so important for the quality of life. How you see is really how you live, and it's just so important. We've seen time and time again when people can see, they can get educational opportunities, fill out more job applications, do so much with it, and we provide all these services for free. And so I'm just hoping to be here to represent the Mobile Eye Clinic to hope that we can be a part of this measure, HHH, and somehow provide free eye care to people experiencing homelessness, and how we can apply for some of the funding to help offset the cost for this, because it's so important to see it affects the way you live. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Good afternoon, Ivania Soalbarro with the CLA's office. I'm here to give an update on the MOU. As you recall, back in October, the Board of Supervisors requested their staff to report on a framework for an MOU between the cities and the 88 cities in the county, the board, as well as some of their other services and departments. On December 9th, the Community Development Commission did report back to the Board of Supervisors with a particular framework that they would like them to begin to consider. Some of those items to be included in the framework, or at least to be considered, had to do with the term, which would be approximately 10 years. They delineated sort of the responsibilities between the capital, the rental subsidies, as well as who would provide health services and or supportive services. There was also talk about establishing the county's commitment for including supportive services to underserved areas as well. So there was a series of delineations that the MOU would be that would be considered for when they go to negotiate with the cities. Where we are now is that now that the H has passed and that we are moving forward, the board now has to instruct one of their departments to begin the negotiations with the city and or the 88 cities in the county. So this is where we are at this point. I'm waiting for the county to take the next step, instructing their departments.
So, questions, colleagues, on this? Mr. Weiser?
So who from the city's involved with negotiating with the county for the MOU?
The CLA's office as well as the CAO's office has been involved in the MOU.
What names from both of those offices are involved?
What names? I have been involved as well as Sharon and Karen in reviewing the MOU, and the CAO's office, Yolanda Chavez, and I'm sure we all look at it. I believe the mayor's office is also reviewing it.
Oh, okay. And have we raised in the MOU discussions larger questions of the city's appropriate share of Measure H?
No, that has not come up because we really have not started to get into the details of any particular MOU, and I think probably those issues will be more related to the next steps on the H, which Meg will talk about.
Yeah, and so you're going to talk, because I understand there's a group beginning to convene, the city's participating in that, and how the H will be spent?
Yes, when there is a group, a Measure H revenue planning work group. It has 52 members on this group. 2 of them are representatives from the city of Los Angeles. Excuse me?
2 out of 52.
2 out of 52. Yes, that's true. It includes the other kind of groups of representatives. There's representatives from county departments that are leads on the various strategies that are Measure H eligible. Also representatives from COGS around the county, councils of government, around the county, subject matter experts, people with lived experience. LASA has representation on.
And who are the 2 from the city?
It's Rich Llewellyn, the interim CAO, and the general manager of the Housing Community Investment Department,
Okay.
Rushmore Cervantes.
Yeah, and so that's just starting to be convened, so we really don't know what the discussions are and what the framework is, what the thinking is, or what the distribution would be like, correct?
Right. The county has put out a lot of information about the process itself. So the first meeting is on the 23rd. There's a framework for the subset of county homeless initiative strategies that are eligible for Measure H funding. So 17 of the strategies that were approved last February are eligible for Measure H funding, and they added 4 additional strategies to that list, one of them being supportive services for permanent supportive housing.
Yeah.
Those strategies will be the activities that are really eligible for Measure H funding under those strategies. The departments or agencies that are leads on each of those strategies will be submitting funding proposals that would be considered by this planning group. So they will go through each proposal for each strategy.
Well, I'm concerned that given the limited number of city people on there, that we will not get our fair share of the funding. And given that a majority of the funding for Measure H will come from the city, we obviously need to express, I'm not sure through what channels, that these discussions need to take place, whether we, as a city, step back and say, well, let this process start and go, and then we'll figure out if we have to even raise it, that we need to get our fair share, or it's already a given that we're going to get our fair share. But I'm not quite sure at what forum, at what level. Is it at the elected level? Is it at the administrative? Where do we share that? Because it is of great concern. Like Metro, when there's other cities involved, other parts of the county involved. The city often doesn't get its fair share, and I'm concerned that the same thing may happen here. So if you could at least share with this committee at some point how that process is going. I'm not sure if the chair is probably going to get us updates throughout and how that is going, but I certainly would like in any report backs to see how our fair share is moving. And not only our fair share in dollar-wise, but I think after we passed HHH, the thinking may be that, well, we'll provide the social services for the housing that the city creates. It goes beyond that. We do now a lot of services that the county should be doing, but we've picked up for them, and the county is really responsible for them, for those services. Mm-hmm. Now, how can we, supplement what we're doing, or assist us in some of that, or have them pay for it directly? I don't know, but I'm hoping that this is as expansive as possible. I mean, any human we help on the street is good, but certainly here in the city where we are paying more into this, and our residents are paying more into this than other places, we should be able to make a pretty good argument on our fair share.
Yeah, I think one thing, and I agree, I think one thing that is really positive on the work that's been done sort of setting up the revenue planning process for Measure H is that there is, what am I trying to say, an intention that for those strategies where it makes sense that the funding actually go out according to need, and where the data is saying where the need is, and most of the data that is being used to drive that is the point in time count, which definitely identifies where the need is relative to the city versus the rest of the continuum.
Hey, look, and if there's a framework that is based on need, and that's going to be great, because the biggest need is going to be here in the city, as long as there's some fair allocation and it doesn't become a big political fight about where to best allocate those, and the city ends up losing out. That's good. But I think those are the types of things we should watch out for, and alert the political leadership in the city if we need to intervene in any way to help adjust what direction that's going in.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Price? Can you just review I know you just covered this, but can you review for us what has happened since H has passed with regard to the MOU? Are we stuck in place? Has it moved in any way? Is there a meeting schedule? Like what's exactly happened between now and then?
Relative to the MOU?
Yes.
Since the department came back to the Board of Supervisors with a memo outlining the framework, nothing has happened, and that was in December.
Right.
So the next step really is for the county to, the Board of Supervisors, introduce a motion to instruct or direct one of their departments and staff to begin the negotiations. So
and do you have an expectation for when that might occur?
No, when I spoke with them today, they did not indicate anything, any particular time frame.
Okay. I see Mr. Cervantes here, who's going to be representing us. If you could join us at the table, I think a couple things. It'll be interesting to, I would love to hear sort of what information you've been given, if any, on this. And do you think that in your role, you can help us with this issue of, one, moving the MOU along, and then the issues that Mr. Huizar raised about fair share, that those things can be taken up in the venue that you'll be in?
Well, certainly. First, going in, thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I share Councilman Huizar's concerns and the committee's concern, as well as the Mayor and Council, as far as fair share. Being 2 out of 52, certainly that is of some concern. As it relates to what we're going into this, that is Mr. Llewellyn and myself, obviously we have the city's homeless strategy, understanding what the county's homeless strategy is, and knowing what strategies within the city's strategies are referenced. I think there's 17 total. We obviously have the support that we need for HHH and the supportive housing services, wraparound services for the construction of the affordable housing that we're going to be creating. That's key, but also all of the other services that have been contemplated in our strategy. Our goal at this point, obviously, is to get our fair share going into this conversation. As it relates to getting support, I believe it's imperative that Mr. Llewellyn and myself, and working through the CAO or CLA's office, come back on a regular basis to advise you as to the progress of how that's moving forward, how that relates to an MOU being codified. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to work with your offices or the CAO, CLA. Obviously, this is a large body, and I'm not certain how the MOU between the city and the county is going to work with this working body of 52 people. So we've got to figure that piece out, and we can certainly report back on what comes first. If because we're meeting now that MOU may be held, I don't know. I'll have a better sense after tomorrow morning when we do meet. We start tomorrow morning at 9 and go till 12, and then we'll see how how often the meetings are going to be called and where we think we can go from there. So I'd be more than happy to, and I'm certain Mr. Llewellyn would be more than happy to come back through him or his representatives to discuss the progress. And certainly our charge, and I'll be meeting with Mr. Llewellyn this afternoon to discuss our approach, but certainly is to, first and foremost, to get the maximum amount of resources for the City of Los Angeles.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions, colleagues? Excellent. All right. Thank you all for your report. We'll continue this item, Mr. Clerk. Number 3.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Herman, I know you're happy to be here, but no more dancing in the aisles. If you do, we'll be asking you to depart. Thank you.
Item number 3 is a verbal report from the Planning Department and Housing and Community Investment Department relative to Measure JJJ and its impact on future housing projects.
Excellent. So we have staff report from HCID and Planning.
Good afternoon. Shauna Bonson, Principal City Planner with the Department of City Planning. I'm here joined by a couple colleagues. One is from the Planning Department in Policy and another from Housing and Community Investment Department as well. I manage both Central and Valley Project Planning Divisions, and so we review and approve or disapprove cases that go through our process. I can speak to what we are observing in the development community and can convey what we've seen. I understand that you would like a briefing on potential impacts on future housing projects. I don't have robust metrics for you today, and keep in mind that we can't truly know the projects that may have evolved or changed as a result of JJJ, especially prior to the filing with us. But we can, both DCP and HCID, over the course of the next couple of years, review metrics and trends in proposed projects and filings. Upon Measure JJJ passing and becoming law, we've seen case-by-case applicants have adapted their projects, and I can go through that a little bit. So approximately 25 cases became subject to the regulations of JJJ upon the measure passing last fall. That means projects that were filing for general plan amendments, zone changes, and/or height district changes with more than 10 residential units. These would now need to meet the new affordable housing provisions, either on-site, off-site, or in lieu fee, as well as the labor regulations. And additionally, very roughly, approximately 25 cases were in process with us with the previously mentioned entitlement requests for GPAs, height district changes, et cetera. But they had their case files and materials were deemed complete that qualified them for vesting rights. So essentially that means we had another 25 currently in our pipeline that are not subject to JJJ because they were vested. Of the cases that are in the DCP pipeline that are subject to Measure JJJ, a few have altered their projects to no longer be subject to it. A few have failed to update their materials or respond and therefore became terminated. And the majority remain on hold while applicants consider their options. To give you a little sense of that, the projects that we're seeing, considering the affordable housing, far and away, most are looking at providing that on-site. And we're not really seeing the in lieu option come up yet or the off-site option come up. Most applicants, when you meet with them, of course, express concerns related to the costs with the provision of affordable housing as well as the labor. We're seeing projects reduce their scale in some instances to include fewer than 11 units. That's at least one case that was before us in the Valley. We're seeing projects increase their request and scale so that the new affordable housing provisions can pencil. And we're also seeing projects that modify to no longer request housing. So we're seeing some versions of developers come in and instead ask for a hotel or commercial project. We're seeing projects use density bonus ordinance and conditional use permit, which allows you to go above the 35% density bonus. We're seeing versions of that create a project that does not need a general plan amendment or height district or zone change anymore. So if that makes sense, they're kind of recalibrating their project for different entitlement requests. We're told that this pattern of development, density bonus requests will continue. One thing to note is that density bonus require fewer units than do Measure JJJ cases, and that has to do with the calculation on the base density. Since December 15th, 22 cases applicable to JJJ have been filed with our department, and this is on par with what we've seen in the last couple of years. The fact that there is not a major reduction in the increase of filing for general plan amendments is probably attributed to the filing of cases in advance of impending Measure S than I would say as a result of JJJ, or to the credit of JJJ. With that, that's kind of just the breezy intro I wanted to give to you, and of course we're available for additional questions.
Mr. Price? This is pretty clear for us. I think I don't have any questions, and there are no speaker cards, so thank you all for your presentation. So we'll continue this item.
Yes, sir.
Item number 4.
Yes, sir. Item number 4 is an item continued from the March 8, 2017 meeting. It's a Housing and Community Investment Department report relative to the reprogramming of unspent fiscal year 2015-16 city general funds and unspent general funds from prior fiscal years for use by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority to fund Homeless Strategy 7H.
Thank you. We have no speaker cards on this matter, and I want to read an instruction. Mr. Clerk, so adopt the HCID report as amended to include controller instructions to fund $50,000 for the shared housing program and $17,200 for tenant relocation assistance. The balance will fund HACLA-related programs within the comprehensive homeless Think Strategy 7H as recommended by HCID in the amount of $1,162,046.51.
All right, I have a
Questions, comments?
Yeah, thank you. Someone here able to answer about Operation Healthy Streets and the unspent funds of $118,000? I'm not sure that's a sanitation question or LASA question, or there were $118,000 unspent in Operation Healthy Streets. And the reason I raise that is because Operation Healthy Streets has been very effective in helping to clean up Skid Row in some areas that really have no cleanup services at all, no city services. What we've done different now is that we ask social service providers to go out before we clean up, and that's been very effective in housing some individuals, et cetera. So it's been very successful. At the same time, I get a number of property owners throughout downtown that you have a number of encampments, and we ask the Operation Healthy Streets or some sanitation crews to go out there and clean up, but they say they have no resources. So it's kind of mind-boggling to me that we have $118,000 just sitting around and that we're able to give up when they're telling me they have no money for these types of services.
Good afternoon, Jose Delgado, Associate Director for Intergovernmental Affairs at LASA. Council member, as it relates to LASA, I'm certainly, unfortunately, our CFO was not able to attend today's meeting. But as it relates to LASA, I'll make sure to, if that's somehow related to our operation.
And does LASA work with Bureau of Sanitation? Well, it's a joint. This is one of those examples where Operation Healthy Streets, where there was little homeless coordination within the city. And quite literally, my office was coordinating different departments to perform this task, this program. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be an administrative body in the city that operates a program like this. That's why we have a new coordinator to do that. But it is quite disturbing to see that there's a great need out there, and it's a successful program, which we could certainly use. And when we ask for it, you know, the department tells us there's no money for it, and we're giving away $118,000 for it.
Mm-hmm. Meg Barclay, City Homeless Coordinator. I apologize, I didn't identify myself on the last item as well. We can look into the reason why these savings were, or why this funding wasn't spent in that prior year. Unfortunately, it's from the year that I wasn't here. So I can, but we can look into that and work with your staff and get you an answer on that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Cool. So we'll, Mr. Clerk, if we can make that a part of the instruction that we get a report back on the clean streets. So hearing no objection, that'll be the order. I've got one last public comment card from Crystal Davis Wells. Welcome.
Very glad to be here. Yes, I'm Crystal Davis Wells, and glad to see Councilman Price. I have visited your offices today. Had no idea this meeting was going on, but I happened to see. I'm like, oh my God, I am a woman led by the Spirit, Most High. I'm here to represent an event that we're launching this Saturday on Skid Row. I have been going down there since August of this year with Glory Church, the Korean church on Washington and Grand. I have been their voice of praise and worship now since August, and we've been doing the Friday, 1 o'clock, they feed them sandwiches and they preach and teach, and then I sing. And it has created really a beautiful synergy there at Gladys Park on 6th and Gladys. Then when we finish there, we go down to San Pedro and 5th, and we set up the keyboard and microphone, and we do the same thing. We just sing and feed. So it's been a wonderful experience interacting. But myself, product of Los Angeles, I've raised 5 children here. I've had a wonderful life. Uh-oh. Anyway, I want to invite you all, March 25th through the 31st. I have flyers here. It's at your office. And I will email everybody to keep them updated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Where does that leave us, Mr. Clerk?
That clears the desk, sir.
Excellent. We're adjourned. Thank you all so much.